What to do with Patrick Brown? I'm Brian Lilley with the Rebel.media. You know, Ronald Reagan famously said that the person that agrees with you 80% of the time is not a 20% enemy. I get that. I do. And so I don't want to throw Patrick Brown under the bus. I don't want to say we've all got to run away from him. But when it comes to Brown, like a lot of people that would vote PC, I'm getting frustrated. Brown campaigned for the leadership against the sex ed curriculum. All through the leadership race, he said he would support parents that had concerns, and there are many, myself included. He said time and again he'd go back to the drawing board on that file. Now he says he's always supported the sex ed changes. Kathleen Wynne brought them in. He says he's always supported them, and he implies that those opposed to the changes are homophobes. Now, neither of those are true. You can be opposed to the curriculum, not be a homophobe. I'm not. And as for Brown saying he always supported it, he's lying to his own party members, lying to people he promised to stand up for and said he would always support. Now, Brown is flip-flopping, and he's doing it after defending this stance on sex ed to his own caucus. On Sunday night, one day before coming out and saying he would not scrap the sex ed changes, Brown was on a conference call with the PC caucus talking about the letter that the Toronto Star, a Liberal paper, had deemed controversial. Several people on that call have told me that Brown defended the letter sent out to voters in Scarborough-Rouge River, where the PCs were hoping to pick up a seat in the by-election this week. He told his caucus on the phone call he was standing by that decision. That was Sunday. Then Monday, the caucus found out that he changed his mind again when he wrote an op-ed for the Toronto Red Star. No warning, no heads up, much like when he announced without warning at his party's convention that he would support a carbon tax for Ontario, that was PC party policy. That's not leadership. It's also troubling, by the way, that Brown has now had 4 different stances on this issue of the sex ed curriculum. He was against it, then for it, then against it, and now for it again. Voters might be a little confused, especially all of those ones that he signed up as members of the party to win the leadership race, the ones he's now referring to as homophobes. Let's look at what Patrick Brown has said on this issue before. In a fundraising letter to supporters while he was running to be PC leader, Brown was clear he didn't like the curriculum. Let me read to you just part of the letter. I have spoken to many parents on the campaign trail who rightfully believe only they should decide what is age appropriate for their children, and teachers who are uncomfortable with the proposed radical changes to the curriculum. Notice that language? Who rightfully believe only they should decide. That would be Patrick Brown wholeheartedly agreeing with people he now shuns. In an interview with the Intern, this is Canada's pro-life newspaper, Brown said that if he were leader, then when it came to time to appoint a shadow cabinet, he would, quote, appoint someone who opposes early sex ed. In the same interview, he said, I thought we were done with this, sex ed, in 2010. Now, the reference to 2010 is a throwback to when the then Liberal Premier of the province, Dalton McGuinty, scrapped the revamped sex ed curriculum after protest from parents. He read it himself as well, and like many parents, McGuinty thought the educrats had missed the mark, that the content was not age appropriate. Brown also spoke at a rally outside Queen's Park this past February, telling hundreds of parents that showed up to protest on a cold winter day that he stood with them, that they should have been consulted.
As parents, you must be consulted on fundamental changes to a curriculum that directly affects your children. Kathleen Wynne's approach to the issue of sex education has shown little attempt to consult parents and families. She seems to think that she knows what's best for your kids better than you do. Kathleen Wynne claims that she has consulted broadly on this issue. She says her government has consulted with experts across Ontario. The only people she has not consulted, it seems, to be you, everyday parents.
I can show you more examples of him saying the government got it wrong and he opposed it. After the leadership win, he continued to say the province needed to change and listen to those parents. Here he is, just after he became leader, telling CTV News Channel that the curriculum needed to be redone.
The reality is, I think the government tried to sweep it under the table and say that there's only a few people that were upset. Well, there's a petition of over 70,000 parents. That's not a few. You know, parliamentary petitions sometimes get 50 signatures, 100 signatures. 70,000 starts to get into quite a significant number. I think those that have concerns, you actually need to sit down. You actually need to have a dialogue of respect, and certainly I would go back to the drawing board and say, how do we get everyone to the point that you're comfortable that we can have everyone in the classroom?
I'd like to ask the real Patrick Brown to stand up, but I don't know who that is, not on this file anyway, and I wonder if he does. Because now, as I said, he's busy trying to win the favor of Toronto Star readers, a Liberal paper that will never endorse him or the PCs, that will openly campaign against him and his party, regardless of how many times he adopts their policies. Why on earth is he announcing a policy change like this on enemy territory? Brown is doing a lot of things right as leader. He spends a huge amount of time organizing, holding meetings across the province. He's putting together the ground game needed to win in every corner of Ontario, and without that, it will be hard to win the next election. But all that could be for naught if he keeps tripping on his own toes and trying to convince Liberals to like him by endorsing their policies, be it the carbon tax or a sex ed curriculum that teaches children material that is not age appropriate. Now, I have a lot of problems with this sex ed curriculum. And unlike many, I've actually read it. But the bottom line is that the curriculum takes material that might be okay for higher grades and pushes it lower and lower, younger and younger. I've got 4 kids in the school system. I'm not comfortable with what they want to teach my kids. Thankfully, my kids are getting older. They'll pass through this before the worst of it comes. But being opposed to this curriculum doesn't make me a homophobe. And no one I know is saying scrap all sex ed. What we want is age-appropriate curriculum and parents to be consulted. That doesn't make me, or any of the hundreds of thousands of parents like me, monsters. But if Patrick Brown wants to portray us that way, perhaps he's just saying loud and clear that he doesn't want our votes in the next election. Brown's no longer standing up for parents or for kids, but you can. We continue to host our petition against Ontario's sex ed changes at ProtectOurKids.ca. That's ProtectOurKids.ca. I invite you now to sign that petition. Add your voice to the thousands upon thousands that have already done so. Now, we're not just sending a message to Kathleen Wynne at this point with the petition. We're also sending one to someone that should know better, that did know better, PC leader Patrick Brown. Go now, ProtectOurKids.ca. Sign the petition, then share it with your friends and family by email, on Facebook, or Twitter. That's ProtectOurKids.ca. Sign the petition.
Thanks for watching. Click here to never miss a Rebel update. Want even more of the Rebel? Well, click here to become a premium member.